Hello, today I'm going to be talking about my favourite game series. I'm going to do this as a two-parter. I have done this series before, but it was far too long and I'm not happy with the result. It was a rushed effort, so I'm going to take my time with this one and then show you through. Today though, I'm going to be talking about the PS1 releases. And I know there's some that I don't have, and I'm going to be talking about them in detail and everything. But let's start then. This series, you probably already know of it. It's probably one of the biggest series out there. Literally started the survival horror, well, made survival horror mainstream. You had Clock Tower before that on the I think it was the SNES. This is Resident Evil. Now, this is the first game. It got released in 1996 on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1, which I have here. I would prefer this, though, on the Sega Saturn. I've played it on the Sega Saturn, and even though the graphics aren't as superior, graphics do not make a game. We all know this. You have a new separate monster in the first Resident Evil on the Saturn, and it made it, and that was like the unique thing. So, if you have a Saturn, get this on the Saturn. If you don't, you can get it on PlayStation. It's on the PlayStation Network as download. You can pretty much get this on everything. In between that and the second game, they released a director's cut as an apology because the second game was 2 years, well, it was a year later, coming out a year later instead of straight a year after. So they released Resident Evil 1 on the Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut on the PlayStation. Director's Cut, I believe, is kind of like the Saturn version. Also, it has dual shock support, which the first game never did. In Resident Evil 1, you get to pick from two characters: Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine. Jill Valentine is the best. It's the easiest way to get through it, but it's still it's still one of the most difficult games, I believe, on the PS1. Chris's story, though, is very difficult because you team up with a woman last called Rebecca Chambers, and she just sucks. Think of her like the prototype for Ashley in Resident Evil 4. She's that bad. But the next game we want to talk about is obviously the sequel, Resident Evil 2. This one is one of the only Resident Evils to come on 2 discs on the PlayStation, and it has 2 stories. Now, you've already got 2 stories there on the first one with Chris and Jill. Here you have Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, who is the brother of Chris. Now, the story in this is Claire Redfield is coming to Raccoon City and is looking for a brother, Chris, and she ends up running into a cop who's it's his first day on the job for the Raccoon City Police Department, and this has all just happened. So they've got to find their way out together, I guess. This has actually 4 game modes. You have obviously your 2 characters, but when you complete with one, it changes the scenario for other. So if you do it complete with Leon, you go on scenario B for Claire. If you complete it with Claire, then you have to do scenario B with Leon. And in scenario B, you have Mr. X. I think it was called the big grey thing. Practically the setup for the monster in the third game. And he will just run through doors, and he will really hard. You couldn't beat him, more or less, till later on in the game. But Resident Evil 2, again, this is on the PlayStation Network, and it has been re-released on a few consoles as well. This is Resident Evil 3, Nemesis. Now, with Nemesis, obviously, you are Jill Valentine. The story in this, Jill Valentine has been suspended from Raccoon City Police Department after the old zombies incident and implicating Umbrella. And then she has to escape. unless she has to escape from Raccoon City. This takes place, I think, just before Resident Evil 2. This game came out, I believe, in 1999, 2 came out in 97, I believe, something like that. No, 98 that came out, yeah. But this came out in 99, it was the one just before the millennium, and in, like, you think Nemesis, okay, what's Nemesis? Nemesis is the bad motherfucker who comes after you. And like I said, with the Mr. X in Resident 2, is like an updated version of that. And when someone's coming after you with a rocket launcher, you run for your life. You do not fight. The first time I played it and I saw this, I was like, whoa, what is this new machine right here? In Japan, this is called Biohazard Last Escape. They called it Last Escape in Japan because obviously it's the last escape from Raccoon City. For some reason, which I don't understand why, they changed the name to Nemesis for the American and PAL regions, which I don't understand why. I think Last Escape is better. Other games that came out, which were Resident Evil based on the PlayStation 1, and in that generation, you had the Resident Evil Outbreak, I think it was. No, Resident Evil Survivor. And that was a first-person gun game, more or less. But it was so horrible. People will not even class it as a series. You also have on the Game Boy Color Resident Evil Gaiden, and that, it's not bad, but it's not your survival horror. It's done on a Game Boy Color, so you've got these colourful 8-bit graphics, more or less. And as well, in 1999, obviously the Dreamcast came out. Now, the Dreamcast had one game which I love, which I literally would bought when I first got Dreamcast. I bought it for this one reason, and it was Resident Evil Code Veronica. In that, you're Claire Redfield, and you're on a island, which happens to be a prison for Umbrella. And obviously, typical things, zombies break out and everything. You have an interesting storyline. You have you get to see characters back, and oh, it's such a good game. But again, you have an annoying person who you meet called Steve, and he's so whiny. And yep, this is a part 1 of the Resident Evil series. Part 2 I will be doing later on today, I think, so that should be up later on. Please rate, comment, have fun with this video if you think it's hilarious, because my voice sucks. And subscribe. Just I will be doing the next video hopefully today, as I said. So thank you, and I'll see you again.